I don't know what he was trying to do, but I reversed it and put him in an actual move, right? It was a headlock. Yeah.
Yes.
And in that headlock, he couldn't get out of it because I knew what I was doing. But I guess his way of getting out of it was grabbing my.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Hammer Podcast. Today is December 18th, 2020. And before I begin, I just want to thank everybody who has subscribed. The channel is growing. I've seen the analytics on it, man. It's growing fast. It's growing fast. And for the people who are watching for the first time, right here, please subscribe to the channel. All right. First, I want to thank James Griffey for being on the podcast today. Love the background. That's just awesome, man. That's just awesome.
Yeah.
Give him hell.
Live from Missouri right now.
Live from Missouri. Right.
Live from home.
So I want to introduce Lorenzo and Doug. Doug, they went to the Agape Boys. Was it the boarding school or Boys Ranch when you guys went there?
They went by both.
They went by both. Okay.
Depends on what you were doing there.
Well, boarding school, Boys Ranch, it really doesn't fucking matter to me. So, you know.
They also go by
They
also go by Baptist Church for the non-students.
Yeah, okay.
That's true. Yeah.
Lies, and more lies. I got you. All right. So we'll go ahead and give the floor to you. Whichever one of you guys want to start first, Lorenzo or Doug, doesn't matter. Floor is yours, man. Go ahead.
I'll start first mostly since I got there first.
Okay.
So I got there in September. I got a little note section, sorry.
It's all right.
So I got there in September to 2010 at the time, and I was a fun transport, to put it the best way. So I got there because basic neighborhood stuff, growing up in bad neighborhood, normal fights, drugs, all that, underage drinking, all that, parties, normal dumb stuff you find in the inner cities.
Just normal stuff.
Yeah, and a little bit extra, but that,
yeah.
By no means am I saying, I'm not going to say that I didn't deserve to get sent somewhere. I definitely deserved somewhere,
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely was they weren't the right place for anybody, I wouldn't think. So I had an interesting transport process. They came, the normal standard, 3 a.m. They had it wasn't Agape people, because I heard a couple of people said they had Agape people coming. I had actual legal transporters come, and 3 a.m. knock on the door. They came in originally. I thought I was going to juvie. They told me they were cops. They had military licenses because they were both. It was a father and son that were both previous military, but they were showing badges as if they were cops. And I was 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm groggy. I wasn't paying attention to police badge or military badge, and I was driven from New York all the way to Agape, Missouri.
Wow. Holy crap!
I was handcuffed to the back of an Escalade. It was either an Escalade or one of those big kind of cars. They had me handcuffed to the door.
Wow.
No real stops or nothing. Just straight through, sleeping in the back.
The only stops were for gas, and I only remember one McDonald's drive-through.
Oh my God.
The reason I wanted him here is going to become real clear later on. So they drove me all the way through, and I threw a little fit when they first came in. Once I realized they weren't actual cops, and I was like, hey, we got outside my door. I'm like, where's your marked car? Where's your real badges? Let me see those again. They wouldn't show me. So I threw a little fit. I kind of beat one of them up, and I started running down the block, and the son tackled me and had me on the floor in a in Agape known as the restraint position, a self-restraint position. And they had me on the floor like that. And they were like, hey, we could do this the easy way. We don't want to do this the hard way. They didn't tell me where I was going until we was halfway down to Missouri. And that's when they gave me a letter from my mom and started explaining the place. And
where were your parents this whole time when they were taking you from the house?
So my mom let them in. She was in her room. My dad's not in the picture, so we'll just leave that at that. So my mom let them in, and that was it for her. She just stepped out of it from there. So yeah, the whole long process. She wrote me a letter that they didn't give me until halfway when they were explaining everything, and eventually I kind of calmed down, whatever. And like I said before, I was in some other trouble, so there was a little bit of legal trouble, dumb kid stuff for the most part. So they were telling me everything. Hey, this is like going to be recognized on your probation, so you would want to make the best representation of yourself that you can, things like that. So I started, once they started saying that, I started getting a little bit more calm and just trying to hold myself a little bit more together, because they had a whole bunch of they had they were trying to scare me into illegal behavior, basically. So they started talking to me, and we got a little chatty, as I calmed down and stuff. And they were pretty honest that this place isn't the best place to be, but it could be a lot worse, is what they would say. Which, hearing some of the stories that Jason here had, I definitely agree. It could have been a lot worse, but the place was still a shithole. Getting there, they actually walked with me all the way to what they would call the intake room, which is also the restraint room. We had a nickname for it called the Pata Palace.
I heard that one, yeah.
Yeah. So they the transporters with the Agape staff. I don't remember who did my intake, but it was 2 staff members and 3 students. And the transporters made sure I got all the way into the intake room before they left. And then it was just the standard buzz cut chat. At this point, they didn't rough me up or nothing. At this point, I was just already okay, this is probation. I've been fighting them in this car for going on it was literally a whole day's drive. They picked me up 3:00 one morning. I didn't get there till after the middle of the night the next day. So it was a whole day's drive. And so at this point, I was just at the point I'm done fighting, whatever. Let's just get this done with. And getting there, they gave me one. I had one guide for a little while, and he was nothing special, very forgettable. And it wasn't until, let's say, a couple months in, I'll say about a month or 2, where things started getting a little bit more interesting for me. I was at first just watching, trying to mellow out the program. That first while there, James would know, people always trying to test you and stuff. But in my mind, the real trip for me is, in my mind, I'm getting told all this stuff about probation. They're gonna this is from the staff. They would pull me into the room, everything you do here, we will report to your probation officer. And this is what they're telling me. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I gotta hold myself back from everything I knew. So, and once kids find out things about you there, they keep pushing at you. So, you talk to a couple people you think are cool there, and they tell everybody your situation. So I had, for the longest time, I had a struggle trying to hold myself back, because people would constantly try to push me. And normally, where I'm from, I'm trained to hit people if they try to push you that way. And me holding myself back, it's new for me, because they're telling me, listen, this is you're on probation. You have an open case right now. Anything you've done here will be taken as a violation of probation, and you will be bumped to a felony. This is what they were telling me in private. And I have no idea what's going on for most of this.
They were leveraging you.
Yeah, they were leveraging me. And a lot of this, my mom is telling me, backing them up. Like, yeah, they're telling you, like, this is how it's going. So there's times where I was getting pushed a little bit to do things, and in my mind, I can't hit nobody, because if I hit somebody, they're going to tell a probation officer, I'm going to violate. And I'm thinking of the worst case scenario. And in my mind, I'm not telling nobody what's really happening, but I'm kind of breaking down. There was a couple points where I just like teared up a little bit. And you know how the vultures in Agape get.
Oh, yeah.
So,
when you're saying they're pushing you, though, like getting a little more detail, so for when people are watching this, like, what do you, like, are you talking about students or staff? And like, what do you mean by pushing you? Like literally pushing you, or just kind of egging you on verbally, trying to get you like?
So you got some kids. So where I'm from, like I said, is a bad neighborhood. You got some kids that once they find out you're affiliated with any sort of gang, or like you're from a certain neighborhood, they want to, oh, you're this and that, da da da. And then you got some kids, oh, so you think you're tough because you're from this neighborhood and stuff. It's almost like jailhouse, how people want to test you the first thing. In jail, you already got nothing to lose, though. And here, they're telling me my next step is the jail. So for me, I'm trying to hold myself, and worst case scenario, I just letting people talk. Nobody really physically touched me for a long time. You know, I had my guide would purposely try to push me. He would give me endless amount of push-ups. I don't know if anybody has ever spoken about this part, because I haven't heard it at Agape. When I first got there was no talking at all. You were not allowed to talk.
I heard about that.
Yeah. So
and no one could talk to you. Only staff members could talk to you if they wanted to, right?
Members and your guide. So I don't know if anybody told you lost your privilege as a human being to talk while you were there. That's essentially what it was.
And you get in so much trouble, huh? If you just turn to someone in the line, like, "Hey, what's up, man? My name's like James or whatever." Like, you'd get in so much trouble for doing that. Just saying hi to another kid your age.
Yep.
Yeah,
and this is
that's worse than jail, honestly. At that point, well, that was just in that aspect. You know what I mean?
And that's a normal human reaction. You stuck with 100, 150, 200 other people. You want to get to know these are the people you basically living with.
Yeah.
I was there. I didn't mention this before. I was there for 32 months.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah.
Jeez.
So
wow.
You saw some things.
Yeah. It's just saying that sometimes give me some flashes. So
so you're there.
Yep.
32 months. Okay, so we can back up a little bit and go to Lorenzo.
Yep.
How did your nightmare begin?
It was a dual combo, because I actually have a brother that was sent to the same exact place
at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
Same time. Yeah, a younger brother, but he's 2 years younger, a year and a half. Not that much younger.
Before he even gets into that real fast, which is the whole reason I wanted him here. So his parents came to visit the place before he came, and they gave them a tour. Being that we're from the exact same area, about 20 minutes apart, they called me to talk to his mom.
I didn't even know this.
I told you before.
I feel like
the whole time I'm trying to give her. There's staff, Scott, not the medical staff, Scott, the one who used to do admissions before Charlie. I'm just gonna throw this in because I love hearing this story. Scott, a student slept with his wife.
Oh.
Anyway.
Hey, one thing though, that medical guy Scott, I was doing some research on Agape. He no longer works there.
Oh,
you know.
I never really had any problems with him. He's a former student, the medical one.
Yeah.
He was very fried. But anyway, so Admissions Scott was took his mom and called me up. So first he pulled me to the side before. They were at the top balcony where Clemenson usually sits. And he first comes down, talks to me, and he's telling me the quick situation. And he's telling me, behave, don't say nothing dumb. We'll give you a soda after the and so I go up there, and in my mind I'm trying to give them a little bit of hints, and his parents is concerned with how does this program handle people that have any sort of drug history, need a rehab or anything like that. And I'm telling her, I'm like, you don't have access to no drugs here, but I would suggest a rehab. And I'm trying to send her like a slick code, and I'm like saying stuff like that to her. And she's not really picking up on it. And I think Scott picked up on it first, because eventually I'm telling her things like that, but I'm trying to be very discreet. And he just sends me back he's like, thank you, you'll get your soda later, and sends me back to my seat. I don't remember if I ever got that soda or not, I'll be honest. But
you sold them out for a soda, man.
I'm sending her these messages like, you can find better programs for somebody that needs that kind of help. And I guess she didn't catch on, and they probably talked to her more after that. Yeah. And we met there, so he can continue his side now.
Yeah, so, well, me and my brother, we weren't actually into nothing crazy yet, because we did get into crazy stuff after Agape, I guess you could say. But before Agape, we were just, smoking weed, and we were actually working at the time. So I was really confused at why, it even went down, why they sent us over there. But so before the time, we were smoking weed, maybe here and there, we'd sell a little bit of weed, but that was the extent of it. The as most it would go. But I guess maybe in their eyes, they thought we were going to progress into more, or I don't know. And not a family member, but a lady I dislike. Her name is Olga. She recommended this place to them, so they looked into it barely, and they decided that they just want to send us there because they think that eventually we will. How they say weed is the gateway drug.
Yeah.
So in their eyes, I guess they just once we started smoking weed, they wanted to just get rid of us. You know what I mean? And they found this as the best spot because they didn't really try much of anything else beforehand. It was just almost like let's send them somewhere that'll fix them, that'll cure them in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was speaking to Olga, and Olga recommended this place, and then I guess from there, they went over, visited, and then he takes over, and then they decide on we're gonna go through with it. So it's actually a day that I was gonna go to work. I was getting ready for I was gonna get ready for work in the next 2 hours because I was working at 6 o'clock at that time, and so was my brother. So we were both getting ready to go to work, and it's about 3 a.m. almost, and I go to use the bathroom, and then I hear footsteps, like heavy footsteps coming in.
Transporters have a thing for 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, I don't know why.
That's a common thing I keep hearing for transporters.
I think it's to catch you sleeping. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I caught them before because I was in the bathroom. So I was wondering, what are these heavy footsteps? I look out and I see flashlights and stuff. And for a minute I contemplated hopping out of the window, but because there was a window in the bathroom, you know what I mean? I contemplated it, but then I thought, me and Chris didn't do anything wrong, so this has to be one of those scare tactics. You know what I mean? It has to be. So we go over. So I go over just to see, what's going on, and they tell us, you're in our custody now, and you have to come with us. And in my mind, I'm thinking still it's just a scare tactic, because we didn't do anything.
Right.
So I'm thinking, all right, they're just gonna probably drive us to some precinct. Maybe tell us this is where we're gonna end up, or some bullshit like that, and we'll be home before it's time to go to work because they know we work together at the same spot. So I'm thinking, okay, they already know that, so this has to be a scare tactic. We'll be back before work. But I fell asleep. Once I fell asleep and I woke up in a different state, and that's when I started to get worried. I asked them, where are we right now? And they say that we were in Pennsylvania, I believe, at the time. Oh. And once they told me that, I said, okay, where are we going? And they said, we can't tell you until we're halfway there. And then I started to get worried. So me and my brother got worried. So they had us separated in different seats, but they made us stop somewhere in I forgot where it was, but it was halfway there, around halfway there, before they were getting ready to tell us where we were going. And my brother, he managed to get one of his cuffs off, so he was already uncuffed. So he told me, I can probably help you, but then I told him, look where we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're in the middle of nowhere. What are we gonna do? This is. Let's go find out. Maybe it's just a really big scare tactic or something. So I thought it was a scare tactic until the very moment that I slept in the bed. Once I slept in that bed, I knew that this was it.
I think I was also his brother's first guide there.
Oh, crazy.
I think so too.
One of you guys I was.
You ended up getting me though. I remember that.
I had both of you.
That window, the window that you thought about getting out of.
Yeah.
Was it your typical? Was it your typical New York scene where you got the stairs on the side of the building?
No,
okay.
Spider-Man shit.
A little window in the corner, but it was easy to get out of because the toilet was there. So the toilet supported me to get out. Okay. But the thing is, I didn't want to get out because I already knew that I hadn't done anything wrong. I didn't realize that it was my parents signing me away. You know what I mean? I didn't think that was even the thing. So at the moment I was worried about it. I just wanted to, go confront them, see what's going on.
Where we're from, getting sent away really isn't a thing. You think you're going to workplaces first.
Yeah, you think you have to do something first, though. That's in my mind. That's what I'm thinking. So I knew I hadn't done anything wrong. The worst I had done was smoke weed in public. So I'm thinking, okay, this can't be anything serious.
Yeah.
I'm not getting temporary for what was it? I say 7 months. 7 months around about that. So I wasn't there nowhere near as long as Colombo, but
you get there, you get your head shaved.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So we're on our way there. When we arrive, it was Brother Julio, and the transporters. They leave us in, and Brother Julio, he kind of gave us this intimidation tactic, saying he was ex-NYPD, and he even had a little NYPD hat on. Oh my God! Are you kidding me?
There's so many stories about Julio.
Oh my God!
Everything he says, all his stories are lies. He just says a lot of stuff to try to intimidate and make himself sound bigger. He claimed he was part of the Mexican mafia, La M, when he was younger. So a lot of people don't say that. I don't know if he tells kids that anymore.
I've heard that. I've heard it. What's funny, him in the little cop hat, what was he? Was he like part of the village people back in the day or something? Or what?
He was full NYPD.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He was like a retired cop, basically.
I have to call bullshit on that one.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, it had to be a scare tactic. Yeah. I don't know, to intimidate us when we were first arriving. So I just, I was already tired. I was like, okay, let's just get this over with. And then in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this must be like one of those kind of programs that you level up real fast and you leave real fast. So I thought, okay, let me be on my best behavior and get out of here as soon as I can. You know what I mean? So I let them shave my head, and then eventually, once I hit the bed, I knew, all right, we're gonna stay. So after that, the experiences we had. Oh man, I'm gonna start off with the pool experience because that's always gonna stay with me forever.
The pool experience.
So Agape had a pool that they would open for students in the summer. So that was we had, our couple friends, James, there's little cliques of people that would hang out together all the time. So our little clique, we would like to enjoy in the pool and the rec center where they have the 8-ball and stuff like that usually. So we were in the pool one time and, they tell you no wrestling and all that stuff, but Julio would encourage it because he was part of the, I know James saw the recent pictures. He would help manage the wrestling team, and I was also part of his boxing team that he would run with Burton. And Julio was encouraging us to wrestle in the pool one day just for fun. And his thing is he would let us wrestle and play fight, and eventually he wanted to jump in. So me and him wrestled all the time for fun. And one day he stops us from wrestling and he starts wrestling him.
Oh,
you can tell him to this.
Yeah,
In the pool.
Yeah, so he's wrestling me, right? And like he first he tells me that he knows all these different techniques or whatever. I forgot. He told me a whole bunch of crap. I didn't even pay attention to it.
In California, he
like
claimed he owned a martial arts gym, and Cain Velasquez used to train there before he was in the UFC.
Cool.
Well, and I actually knew some jiu-jitsu. So
both of us knew some martial arts, which is why we used to like to wrestle each other.
Yeah, so I actually knew a little jiu-jitsu. So he tried I don't know what he was trying to do, but I reversed it and put him in an actual
headlock,
move, right? It was a headlock. Yeah.
Yes.
And in that headlock, he couldn't get out of it because I knew what I was doing. But I guess his way of getting out of it was grabbing my balls and squeezing them.
I was there for the whole thing. I was there for all of this.
I'll never forget that.
Wait, how? So you didn't cover this. How old were you and your brother when you got 17. There? Like you're 17. Okay.
My brother's 15.
15, yeah.
So this staff member's encouraging you guys to wrestle, even though you're not supposed to. Then he jumps in I want a piece of this. I like to wrestle people. And then you get him in a hold that he can't get out of. And he only way he can get out of it, he literally reaches down, 17-year-old, grabs you by the ball.
Yeah, well,
instead of tapping out, right? Which you're supposed to do that, just tap.
He refused to lose to any of us. So instead of tapping out, his tactic was to squeeze him in his balls.
Well, it says one thing though. It says that Julio loves to grab men's balls. So, hey,
I know what's tapping out like that.
Enough said. That's. I mean, we could end the podcast right now. It's like
I know, right there.
Julio likes balls. We're done.
Great talking with you guys. Have a good one.
So another thing, going off of wrestling and boxing. So there was always the rumors he would give. I wasn't his favorite, but I didn't have problems with him. First off, I didn't really have real problems with any staff member because in my mind, like I said earlier, I was always concerned with probation and things.
Yeah.
So I try to stay on the best side I can. There was definitely staff that didn't like me, and I would avoid them the best I could. But with Julio, I was part of the boxing team, and he definitely had his favorites. That there was the rumors of him letting juice up, roids and stuff. I don't know how true that is. I wouldn't doubt it knowing him because he self-proclaimed he roided up. Yeah. But on boxing, kind of like the wrestling thing, his favorite thing to do was if we were messing up in school or if we got any trouble, he would tell other staff members, "Don't worry, I'll handle them. I'll handle their punishment. Don't worry about it." In boxing, you would be his sparring partner. And he didn't take it easy on you, a grown man, sparring. And if any of us ever did get a little bit of the upper hand in boxing, which was a little bit more rare, he'll just go into full-blown martial arts. You're thinking you're boxing with him, he's going to toss you to the ground, and he's going to start pounding on you.
Dude, that's crazy to hear about the boxing. Because when I was there is when they first brought out the boxing gloves, and if you were acting up at the school, you would go down. If you had a problem with anyone at the school, they'd bring you down to the sand pit, the volleyball courts, and you put on the gloves and box each other. Or if you're really acting up, then Burton would put on the boxing gloves and be like, "What? You think you're tough?" And he would just knock the shit out of kids. That guy, because he's like a Golden Glove boxer or some shit like that.
He was the championship Golden Glove boxer, I believe, in Arizona. Burton. So Burton was actually grooming at my time Julio to take over the wrestling and the boxing.
That's interesting. They turned it from being a punishment when I was there to a extracurricular thing for you guys. But it sounds like they're still doing punishment with it. Hey, if you're acting up, like you said, hey, well, I'll handle them that way. But then it's like
that was for the people on the boxing team, which was very few. There was only there's less than 10 of us.
But wasn't it a privilege to be on the boxing team? I mean, I think a punishment would be.
You gotta be trusted, Burgundy.
I would think that punishment would be taking you off the boxing team, not hey, we'll beat the shit out of him in the boxing ring to like, you know, put him in line because he acted up. Like just taking off the boxing team. Like
Yeah.
that's weird. But that's great. So that's a hell of a story, though. Sorry, no, that ball grabbing thing, like that.
Well,
that's gonna be
that was.
everywhere, dude.
I was going to mention something. You know, I've heard that steroids shrinks your balls. Maybe Julio was trying to compare his with yours.
He's like, oh, this is what they're supposed to feel like,
right?
I love that was what he did.
Yeah, that was insane.
I thought maybe he would try a reversal or even a hit to the gut. No, it was balls, straight balls.
Oh, jeez. So what's the second experience you guys had together?
There was a lot because we were always together. Like we became really good friends there, and obviously that transitioned after there. And I'm friends with his brother too. His brother is he's out having fun right now. So we used to work in the kitchen together too. So there was one fun thing. We enjoyed doing it because we were never on the bad end. I don't want to mention his name because I actually believe he was a good staff member. He was a former student. He's the one that actually wound up marrying the staff daughter, Rachel, that you were speaking of.
Nice.
Yeah. So he was a former student, and I honestly believe that he was one of the few there that actually wanted to try to help you, being that he was a former student himself. And but there was one thing, if you were on his kitchen crew, how he would teach if you got in trouble, how Julio had his boxing thing. His way of like trying to straighten you up was I know somebody else touched on it, freezer time.
Yeah.
So I think that was Calvin.
Yeah. So you would basically get thrown in the freezer, a couple other students, and you would get a little smacked up or whatever. You know, it was never nothing too crazy. It was short, but you're in the freezer, so it feels forever.
Right.
And it was like, kind of like, hey, get your shit together, the old school street way. We used to do it to each other for fun. Just like I said, we would always wrestle and stuff.
Right.
So we used to want to like get that chance to do that.
That's funny though. Like, well, because the fact that you guys are into that kind of stuff, like, I can see how Agape wouldn't phase you. You know, you're kind of used to it. Like, you have the background. Like, you get there. Like, some like, I don't know, some other kid that doesn't have that kind of background, never been in a fight in their life, nothing like that. You know, gets sent to Agape. Like, it's such a shock for them. But like for you guys, it's like whatever. You know, that's cool. So it wasn't that crazy there. Like
there
besides
was so much I can go into. All right, so when I got there, this is before his time. There were basically everybody was taking their own affiliations as coast and towns. So the student body started. There was personal issues going on between everybody. That the student body kind of split up between these kids are from the south side. They all together, and it was turned into basically. Wow. Almost like a gang thing. You had the South Side kids versus there was very few of us from the East Side, and then there was the West Coast kids.
We got to touch on that because we got to touch on that why we ended up finally leaving.
Yeah, that's gonna come later.
Yeah.
So there was like countless amounts of fights because of this, and you know how they do group punishments. Everybody push a position. Everybody stand up, head to the gym. We're going to work out. Countless amount of kids. Me personally, I've never been restrained. Julio, like I said, I never had a bad relationship with any of the staff to the point where they would want to purposely hurt me. And Julio, for the most part, left me alone. But there was countless amount of kids I can badly restrain. One kid, I don't remember exactly what happened. I don't remember if he was a runner or if he got into a fight with somebody that all the staff liked, because there was a couple of those. And they restrained him so bad that his arms were like noodles when they were done. It was like a 4 or 5 hour restraint. I remember that. And he couldn't use his arms for like 2-3 days. And it was insane.
Wow.
There was
that's crazy, dude. Like so, but were the staff aware of that? Like after, because I know once you're in trouble there, you're in trouble. So every little thing you're doing, your guide's giving you push-ups, all that stuff. Like if his arms are noodles, like if he's in Browntown or anything like that, like how was he doing any kind of punishment after that?
They had him. They just had him sitting down because he couldn't. He literally couldn't do nothing. They had him isolated from everybody,
Jeez.
and he could barely walk because of the restraint. But I guess they didn't focus on his legs as much because his arms were.
After the restraint, did they make him do the rocks though? You remember rock hauling?
That was summer work cruise.
Okay. This happened in the winter time.
I don't remember when that was, but this summer work cruise is something else we can touch on. I don't know if anybody really touched on this too much, and there's so much I know because I was there for so long that it can be hard to get to detail on every little thing because trying to cover it in such a short span.
I even remembering.
We can go through. We can do 2 or 3 of these, going through everything in full detail.
Right.
Summer work cruise, literally rock hauling.
It was slave work. That's what I call
slave work. They would have you
from one pile to the other.
Literally,
and then one pile to the other.
Working pile to pile to pile, just grabbing rocks. And then they had different crews. So that was rock crew. They had a crew that would pick thistles.
Oh my gosh.
Which were these thorny little. They were like shrubs or things, and they were really full of thorns. The only place without thorns was at the base. So if you didn't have gloves, you still had to pick them.
Oh man.
And then going back to the rock hauling, the rock hauling. So I maybe it's the same when you guys were there because I remember we used to do the same thing. So we'd have all the rocks, we have to pick them up, haul them over, and drop them off. But then the thing is, like, you're not grabbing 2 little pebbles and rock.
These are decent size.
Boulder. Like
the smallest rocks were this big.
This is the biggest rock I ever carried.
These were the smallest ones.
Right, and the staff members dictated if you picked up rocks and you're like, okay, I'm going to take a load and walk it a mile to over here. If they didn't think you picked up enough, they would, for us at least, they would have you hold your arms out and they would load the rock up. And every rock that you dropped was like 100 push-ups or something. So you'd have to walk a mile, holding the rocks as much as they gave you. And if you dropped any of them, you're getting push-ups. You know, like so when. And I hate to keep stopping you guys to go into detail because people hear this, they're like, oh, rock hauling, that's not so bad. I could pick up 2 rocks and walk. It's like
and you're doing this all day, replacing school for part of your day. So not only you're losing your school time. So, and then in the end of the day, from point A to B was no purpose, but the reason they had you grabbing these rocks, you're clearing out their animal pens for their personal petting zoo that they would use to advertise. And these rocks would go to, I don't know if anybody touched on this, our work crews. There was also personal crews that would do all the construction around the property. They would do all the staff houses. They would put together those, do all the moving, do all the painting. And these rocks would be used for the foundations of the buildings that they advertised to your parents. Hey, we have these amazing facilities coming up. These would be the basis of that.
The students were the work crews?
Yeah.
You're telling me they had free slave work
the
whole time?
We built the laundry room, the new laundry room.
I never knew that. I always thought that they had like their own separate.
No, it's because you didn't go on the personal work group. They had contracted workers.
I didn't know that.
But alongside the contracted workers were a couple students in work crews.
And it was only kids that they trusted, right?
He didn't spend that long there, and he also didn't spend that long in good standings. So he didn't get to do a lot of the trusted stuff.
But I did turn burgundy for like a day.
So what was it? What was it? Browntown peanut butter sandwiches and
I went back to Browntown after a lot. No, you know what it was. Someone Someone threatened to hit Chris or something.
And you fucking
someone threatened to hit my brother, and then I waited for him down the stairs. And,
this was when he was my buddy too.
Oh.
Yeah, so I had to avoid it. He told me, and I had to pretend like, hey, I'm going to the bathroom or something while he. We try to look out for each other over there because it was always, us over staff, but then it was your clique over the other cliques in the end of the day.
Did you beat his ass?
Nah, did a little something like that. He was a skinny but really tall kid. Yeah, so he was tall. He was a really tall guy. So I waited for him, and then I just I did my thing at the bottom of the stairs, and then what was his name? The Indian dude that was that was burgundy, kind of Indian or Pakistani.
His name don't matter. I don't remember.
Like, he broke it up as much as he could, and then brother Agar or Altar. Brother Altar. Then he came out of nowhere, so I swindled away, and then he came.
Altar was the principal. He's a scrawny little, I believe he was Indian of descent. Really scrawny, really scrawny, but he was a smart dude. But he was mainly school staff. He actually took over as principal from Leo. I don't know who's doing it now.
There you go.
Probably Aztec or Mayan. Probably.
I have some native in me from my.
There you go.
I'm Puerto Rican Italian, so I got some of my Puerto Rican side.
There you go.
A piece of casinos.
And then shoot, I could go in. There was riots during. There was a couple riots during my time.
Really?
Where the first one, the big one was. It started mainly, like I said, you had everybody breaking off into their coast and stuff. So one of my friends, he was always in trouble. Guy from New York, from Brooklyn. There was another kid. I don't remember exactly where he's from. I just know he wasn't from our side. And the guy would consistently mouth off. And my friend, I don't want to mention no name just in case any later on legal issues or nothing. But
okay.
My friend basically, he was on. They were all on no talking at the time. No talking. Nobody really covered this much. Back in the day, it used to be bracelets. My time was in bracelets. They gave you a lanyard, and the lanyard at the bottom would have a badge that was specifically no talking. You had to stand up, full position, knee, elbows tucked midway to your body, and your Bible like this. And you had to stay staring at your Bible. No sitting down. Staring at your Bible unless it was to eat during no talking.
Wait,
and
just all time when like kids are playing games and doing everything else, like that's how you were when you're on the talking?
Yeah, you didn't have free time. You stayed in the dining hall during free time. You were only allowed in school and chapel and the lunchroom.
So did they dictate what you're reading in the Bible, or do they just make you staring at the Bible? I guess
they make you stare at it, and they would watch every here and there. Like, seems like you've been on that page for a while, like stuff like that. But they weren't really.
I was going to say, the interesting thing is they tout now that they don't force religion on anybody at Agape, and they don't force you to read your Bible. They force you to stare at the Bible, but they don't force you to read the Bible. But you're telling me that they would come up and basically you'd get in trouble if you're on the same page for too long.
Yeah, at my time, they were watching you. They had the wall, which was similar to no talking. You were supposed to have basically the no talking position, but you're faced on the wall. And
dang,
back you weren't allowed. They had windows. Back then they had windows. I saw some more recent pictures where the windows are boarded up, and there's basically no outside view of the world right now from what I saw these new pictures. But back then you weren't allowed to look at the window or you would get in trouble. You had to stay staring at your Bible, and your face was on the wall. They would literally tell you, forehead on the wall, don't take it off. And you were staring at your Bible.
While you're holding your Bible?
Yeah, so you had to literally like forehead against the wall staring at your Bible.
And we're talking like 5 minutes at a time, or are we talking hours?
This is the whole time you were in the lunchroom. So anytime we were in the lunchroom.
So all free time, everything, you're doing this.
Yeah, this is what you did. Sometimes they would let you get free time. It depended on who you were, because they were very picky with their punishments. Certain people, depending on what you did and what you were, they would let some people have a little bit more freedom with it.
But I mean, you had to do something for them to punish you this severe. It's not like they're just walking around.
No, it could be something as simple as they saw you talking during lunch or dinner or whatever. Something as simple as this, they see you talking, and you had Brother Frank. He had this long, deep voice. He was, I believe, you remember him. I believe he was ex-Army or Air course.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
You would just hear him. He had a specific microphone. He loved being on the stand because he loved looking for people doing things wrong so he can send them. And
you just
and
say
he-
your name. Wow.
yeah, he would just say Colombo, Wall, Benitez, Wall. That was all he needed. And he had a specific microphone he would leave at his desk while he at his table. You know, every staff member had their own table for meals. He had one that he would leave at his table while he's with his wife eating. He would be watching us and just looking for anybody. Whoa. That was what he did for fun. He wasn't the worst staff member, but that was his niche. He liked to pick those things. And there's some staff I would give some credit to. The one thing I would say he did good, and this is the only thing I would say he actually did good, is if you ever got to a certain privilege, there was very, very, I'm talking about a handful of kids a year, he would let fly in his personal airplane. Yeah.
What?
They stopped this at one point in time. But there was a handful of kids that if you were very privileged and you had to do something to earn this, like something real good, big snitch or something like that.
They froze.
Oh no.
And it off consent slips. But you would get a passenger seat in his plane.
You kind of froze up there.
Yeah, it froze up for a minute, but you're back now. But so wait a second. So I'm tripping on this. You said that a staff member at Agape, like on this like working a ministry on a ministry budget, whatever they pay staff members there, owns his own private plane.
Yeah.
How's that?
Like I said, he was ex-military. He was
okay.
He was higher up in the staff.
Oh.
Sorry, I just lost the page.
I wonder if that's in the tax returns.
Yeah. So
maybe
was definitely higher up in the staff.
Right. I guess he wanted the kids to be part of the Mile High Club.
Oh, he was actually the guy. That's what it was. Your thing, the Do Right Club.
Yes.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, they they've done away with it around your time. So you had to get to like the max level of the Do Right Club, and you had to be in it for a certain amount of time, and you had to have like the utmost trust levels, and then he would give you the privilege of being on his personal plane. So it was only, like I said, it was a handful of kids.
He gave the best ass kissers time of their life, huh? Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Damn. That's interesting. I've never heard about the plane rides before.
Well, I was talking to James a little behind the scenes. I told him there's so much I know that it just comes in here and there. I was there for so long, and it's been so long.
Yeah.
Dang. So I'm curious. So all the stuff that happened at Agape, everything you guys went through, right? Why you got sent there, and I'm sure there's tons more stories. But were you guys both? You guys both weren't there till you graduate. As also your brother, right? He wasn't there till he graduates. Like what?
Oh, you don't hear our exit?
His exit, their exit was great.
Okay.
I'm curious, like, how do you get out, and like why do you get out?
Okay, so our exit was a little interesting. We kind of all, like how he's.
What? Hey, can you guys hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you. Yeah.
All right.
See you too.
We lost video on our side, so anyway, as long as you guys can hear us.
Yeah, we can hear and see you. Yeah, you're good.
All right. So yeah.
All right. So it was a couple of us. Like it was like what 6, 7 of us
all together. But
yeah.
It was 2 guys.
Yeah, but well, like I guess me and Chris kind of began it with what's his name, leader and.
That's not. Anyway, get to this. we don't need to mention the names. We don't need names.
We made a group. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And in this group, I guess they noticed that we were kind of like controlling like a lot of things that were happening within the school. Students, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
For instance, there was no pictures of females, and we're guys, we're young kids. You kind of want to here and there.
Yeah,
right.
I was part of there was a recycling thing that one student got to do, and I was really cool with the staff member who ran it. So I would sneak in magazines when I was doing it, and I kind of ran a little picture trade and guys would go crazy giving up their lunches, desserts, anything for these pictures.
You got to have a hustle. You got to have a hustle. You know what I mean?
That was just one little thing. So we had a bunch of little things like that going on there. So
then once they started to catch on to it, and they decided that okay, it has to be me and my brother that are like the leaders of the group, right?
Right.
So they called my parents over on I think it was Christmas.
It was one of the holidays.
It was
Thanksgiving
one of the
or Christmas. I think it was Christmas.
Yeah, it was Christmas. So they tell them they give them an ultimatum.
And what he's not mentioning, his brother was constantly in Browntown.
Yeah.
His brother doesn't have a lot of self-control. So like I said, where we come from, especially more towards me, because I'm from a more violent area in our part, it's hit first, act later. His brother didn't have no legal obligation to abide by that. So his brother was hit first, ask later.
Yeah.
So I'm the calmer one.
Yeah.
I'll hit for a reason. Now that's about it. If they give me a reason, then yeah. But so they determined that we were probably like leading the group or whatever it is, or whatever the case may be. So they pulled my parents to the side when we were having the Christmas time the visits. So they gave them an ultimatum. They told them that we have a nice school up the road, the Amish school.
We would call it the Amish school. So it's not actually an Amish school, but it's in the middle of an Amish community. So there's no chance to getting out. We've heard so many stories. Nobody really knows too much about this place. I know kids that went there, but we never really talked about it. There was rumors that people were still getting paddled there. And this is 2010 to 2013 that I'm talking about. There's rumors that kids were still getting paddled there. And I mean, like, they were getting hit with a paddle on their ass, whatever. Like,
it was an Amish, so it wasn't related to Agape at all. It was something.
No, it was a whole separate school. But I guess they had a relationship with the people that ran it. It was about an hour or so away, because I remember actually passing it, doing like off school trips and stuff.
I remember passing once too. So,
and the whole thing at that school is you would basically work fields for them, for that other school. I can't remember the name of it at this time. I believe they actually got shut down. But, yeah.
So my parents already knew how kind of Agape really was, because they were picking up on it each time they visited. And, like sometimes the staff didn't have their full control, and then, they'd slip up and not have the view that they want to give to the parents. So my parents were already getting suspicious that the place is not the best of places. And then with the ultimatum, they were like, no, we want to keep them together because this place already kind of looks a little fishy. And now you want to separate them, and the place up the road is worse. So they decided, you know what? No, we're just gonna take them out, because they're saying either you take one to that school and leave one here, or they both leave. So my parents just said, no, they both go.
Wow, what a Christmas gift!
Yeah, I didn't believe it when brother Julio actually. He was like, pack your things, you're out of here. And I was confused. I thought I was going to the Amish school for a second.
Was he looking at you in the eyes, or was he looking down?
At our time,
I'm sorry, I can't let that go.
So at our time, Julio had no real power. He all he did was run Browntown.
Oh.
That's all he did strictly during our time.
I think we were both Browntown at the time too. I think so. Either that or I was yellow. But I know I wasn't Burgundy again yet.
Yeah.
But Chris was brown. Chris was still brown.
Chris was definitely brown.
So he just out of nowhere just pulls me to the side, and then while everyone's watching a movie, I think it was, he just pulls me to the side and just tells me, pack all your things right now. So I'm thinking like, where am I going? He's like, pack your things. And then eventually, once I packed them, then he told me, you're going home. So I didn't believe him. You know what I mean? Because you're already so accustomed to, this is your routine every day. You wake up and you do the Agape thing. So I didn't think, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna wake up in my own bed. You know what I mean? So they just decided, that they didn't want to separate us, and I guess Agape decided that we were a threat to them. So I don't know.
I know a while before that, they actually used to not kick students out. So I was actually there. This is before his time also. When they started kicking students out, that was because of another riot. So this riot, though, was a bunch of us. This is after, like, the coast things. Everybody got friendly again, you know, stuff. Oh, actually, for that big fight that I was mentioning before, I just want to touch on this because I forgot to mention it. The way staff broke it up is the dean at the time, Brent, he literally came in from nowhere, grabbing students, grabbing students like this, tossing them off of each other. Just literally not looking where he's throwing them. That's how he broke it up. Literally just straight tossing students.
Jeez.
It's the funniest thing.
You know, it's funny. I didn't see anything like that on the website.
Yeah,
right? I know, huh?
So,
Dude,
that was the first.
Advertise the balls and your balls are going to be grabbed. All that.
Yeah, I know, right?
That was the first one I was there for. The second one, they caught before time. So this is after everybody made up. After that first riot, everybody slowly started blending. Like, they were over it. The staff, you know, everybody at this point was more like, fuck staff. They were at that point. Like, they're throwing us, da-da-da-da. So eventually, most of the kids, like the leaders, you would say, of each group, wanted to basically say, we're going to take over the school. School staff, there's 150 of us, 200 of us. There's nothing they can do.
Right.
By the way, I was there for the work crews. I was part of a couple of them. When I first got there, they were only single beds for the most part in the dorm. It's one dorm for all students, by the way. They don't do separate dorms no more. They actually had student work crews build the second bunk on top of the other bunks. So it was one bed and then a second one on top. You'll see the pictures nowadays. Students that were part of this welding group for a vocational program were helping the staff build these bunk beds that kids were supposed to live in.
What would have happened if they were to ever break on?
I have no idea.
You see, because that's the thing. They can't be licensed.
Yeah.
You see.
Well, the staff that was there was a licensed welder, so they would use that to get around the student. Like,
well, you know, I've seen some of the. There's a website, and I'll put it on the description, but it tells you the name of the person, what they did, and of course their qualifications. And about, say, 90% of them said they have no qualifications at all.
There's qualified work staff. They don't put them on the website. These people have no direct affiliation with the church. They don't go to the church, nothing. They're there strictly as work staff.
Okay.
They're like a contractor.
Advertise these people because they're not part of the church. These guys, there was a couple of them that would let some of the students smoke cigarettes here and there. And I don't think any of these guys are there no more. That's why I'm saying it, because I don't want to ruin it for anything. But as far as I know, they don't have none of these guys no more. They would let some of the students smoke cigarettes, whatever, here and there in the workshop. And these guys would play whatever loud rock music inside the workshop. The workshop's not part of the main school. So that's part of the reason why Agape didn't advertise these people. They were more normal. They were there strictly to work, get their paycheck, and teach kids while they were doing these.
They were living in sin. That's what it was.
Yeah, according to Agape, they were living in sin.
Yeah.
Well, going back to the second riot, though, staff found out before, because this was getting organized now. I'm talking about down to captains were getting in on this. And a lot of them were captains. Middle of the night, which is why I brought up the bunk beds, middle of the night, everybody get up. Everybody get in your lineups. Everybody march to the gym. And when I got there, it was very, very military based with the basic stuff. They lost a lot of that as, I guess, child services started to get involved as certain people would leave. There was a lot of people tried to report them. We never saw child services, but we would hear that, there might have been child services here and stuff like that. Oh, man. And they started loosening up on certain things.
A glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And they started moving away from a lot of our bad kids after this happened, the riot thing. And they started moving away from certain punishments. And when this happened, everybody at the gym, we were all standing there at the military position attention position, and they just started working us out. I'm talking about in the middle of the night. It's like 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, and just working us out. We have no idea why at the time, and we're about an hour or so in, and then they're like, all the staff was there, so this was obviously planned. So they knew what they were doing. This wasn't random. A kid messed up. We were all super confused. It's the middle of the night. We don't know what's happening. We're all like, who did it? Who did it? What's happening? Who we going to beat up? Why are we getting woken up in the middle of the night? And staff starts talking. We heard rumors about a riot. Students want to overtake staff, and they're purposely walking past all the kids that are involved. So somebody must have snitched on them, said something. Yeah. We don't know exactly what happened. This is the start of kids getting kicked out. Shortly after that, captains lost rank. All the captains they found out were involved. Other students going to Brown. And slowly, within 2 months, all the people that were considered the leaders of this got kicked out.
Like you said before, it's always the middle of the night.
Yep. It's always the middle of the night. And that was the beginning of them kicking kids out, from what I know of. They were never kicking anybody out until then that I know about.
I guess they start kicking you out if you're organizing something.
And after that, it became way more frequent.
Wow. And those are the success stories right there. Kids getting kicked out.
Yeah.
Once they heard staff it was going to be overtaken, and it was almost like, I don't know if y'all ever saw.
We were making plans too.
Yeah, we were.
Do you remember the smoke detector plans we made?
What, to break out?
No. All right. Remember? All right. I don't know if you were in on this, but we were all planning to break out.
The breakout.
Yeah, I remember that. We were planning to put our baby powder and blow it into the smoke detector so that it can release all the emergency exits. We planned out a lot.
We tested it out too a couple times, and it works. We used to take foot powder, baby powder, and just like that with the powder, and just test it out, and it would work. It would release the alarm, and everybody was trying to figure. Staff was trying to figure out what happened, and we would have guys in the Echo Bay. So there was 5 different shower bays. We would have guys down in Echo go and just tap the door to see if it really released. We never actually got to do it because, like he said earlier, they said that him and his brother were the leaders and got rid of them before anything could happen. But we were testing it out. It was a group of 6, 7 of us that was going to try this.
Dude, it's crazy how inventive you get when you're in there, but wanting to get out, just because if you get caught, the risk, that's the thing is the risk of getting caught doing that, your life, especially you being at that position you were in, you've worked your way up, right? And you're trusted, this and that, also you're risking it to get out of that place. If you got caught, your life is a living hell.
My big thing was, depending on the position, I chose to be the guy that would have to stay behind that worst case scenario. So I would be the one that I wouldn't get caught or nothing, but I was the one that would slow down everything. I was the one to start it up, let them get in their positions, and try to be a distraction and stuff. Hey, I think they're over that way when they're over that way. And
they went that way.
Yeah.
They're over there. They're over there. Yeah.
I was always a little bit more skeptical of some things. And then I know somebody was mentioned, I think it was Calvin, about the huffing, the stuff.
The brake cleaner.
So I want to some other things guys used to do, because we had a couple tricks. One of them, I don't think he knew was part of this. There was a paint crew with one of the staff members.
I knew about that. You brought me back something.
Yeah. Some guys used to close all the windows in these paint crews and we got to strip some paint and basically get the paint thinner and basically huffing paint thinner.
Yeah.
That was one thing.
So bad.
I'm a painter, so I know that stuff is pretty strong. Yes.
Yeah.
There was 3 other ways. There was a nutmeg thing that guys used to try to do.
There was the oranges. There was the fucking whippets. There was
the whippets.
The axe can.
Yeah, huffing aerosol.
Yeah.
There was so many things people would do just to try to pass a couple of minutes and just forget your.
How'd you get your hands on whippets?
Whippets, it's
he's actually, how do we get them?
How'd you get your hands on them?
It was work crews, basically.
Yeah, work crews.
I don't remember.
So you're probably using them to clean something off with, and you're just a quick little.
Yeah, I don't remember the specific of which cruise, but there was a lot of construction going on at the time.
Oh
Yeah, so there was a lot of ways to get little things.
Are you talking about like canned air?
Yeah.
Clear your like keyboards and stuff like that.
See that stuff now because I have some for my keyboard, and it says on the can itself they put some sort of chemical in it, so if you try and huff it, it leaves like a bad taste in your mouth. Yeah, it's really
terrible.
Right. Well, I'm sure back then they didn't have that.
Some of those different sprays.
But I don't think the one that we had, because the one that we had.
Well, it was probably just recently they just put that in there.
Yeah.
We also had one thing we tried. We tried to make our own.
The orange peels.
Yes, I was about to say, what's with the orange peels?
Yeah.
We tried to make our own, basically like an acid or shroom type thing.
Let it mold or whatever.
Yeah, so you want to go explain it because it was your plan.
Well, actually, someone put me on that you put toothpaste on an orange peel. Yeah, so Daniel, I think it was. That you put toothpaste on an orange peel and then you put it in the dark and you let it mold
inside a bag.
Yeah, the toothpaste will eventually, that mold that's made out of it is hallucinogenic. Right. I didn't know if it was true or not, but
we wanted to try it. Yeah. Like I said before, anything to pass a couple minutes there.
Right.
Yeah. And
dude, you're making me wonder. Like that, I wonder if kids ever did that when I was there, because like this is all new stuff I'm hearing. But there are some kids that would just like trip out in the middle of the night. Like they would just have like, and they said they had a bad dream. But I'm wondering if they were freaking tripping on something, like.
We didn't really get no real effect from it. We thought we probably did it wrong, and staff started catching on when we started doing our next batch. So we had to get rid of it before they ever caught us.
I'm amazed nobody made any Pruno or any type of homemade alcohol or anything out of it.
There were attempts. And like I said, there was a bunch of separate cliques. Like you had captains with their own cell phones and stuff in there.
Yeah,
and
in the fucking
I
had things in the you know how every toilet has a tub.
Oh yeah, that's where we would keep
our stuff,
our orange peels and stuff like that. And then we had a thing where we would purposely. The blackout thing. Remember?
Oh yeah. I remember why we were doing that.
It was one of the dumbest,
dangerous.
Where we would literally choke each other out for a couple seconds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The DMT in your mind.
Yeah.
And we would do that constantly, and it was not healthy.
Yeah, that was not safe.
We had a great time doing it.
Oh my gosh.
Like literally, we were like trained. Being that it's martial art, we know martial arts. It was usually me and him doing it for everybody else in our group, or to each other. Where we were basically knocking each other out, and trying to get that couple seconds of dreams while you're gone. But we would take care of, like, if I'm doing it to him, I'm holding him. As soon as I see he's out, I'm letting him go. I'm sitting him on the carpet on the floor. Like, we're not doing it to hurt each other. We're doing it to get the high.
Right.
Right. Dude, that's
crazy because before I came to Agape, I only smoked weed.
We never done none of this stuff.
I never did.
Wow.
Right.
And speaking of weed, remember when I snuck some in?
Oh yeah.
So, like I said, I had the recycling crew that I was on for the newspaper, and it was just me and one staff member. We were over there, and this was also a hot spot for druggies. You would see them all the time. I found one of those little cheap metal pipes with inside a plastic bag with some matches, and it had weed in it, and it had a little, like a dime or a dub bag of weed, and I managed to sneak it back in. I smoked most of it myself before I told anybody about it.
When did you have a chance to smoke it, dude? Like
this was in the summer, so it was in the outdoor, the field. I don't remember what they would call it, where they have a field out back,
like a soccer field, like the big old field up top.
Yeah, so you could do kayaking and dumb stuff like that, and I would like inside the kayaks or just like. I need to go to the bathroom, stuff like that. I would walk around the building and just like a real quick small hit, and I was like using the match that I found. And whoever lost that they probably saw a cop and just threw it. And I was just standing right there, and I'm a dumb kid stuck in this school. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take advantage of that. And eventually, I had just enough for like 2 bowls left when I finally went to tell the rest of the crew.
You also brought some chewing tobacco back.
Yeah, I also snuck in. I went to a lot of outdoor work crews because, like I said, probation, everything. I'm trying to be on my best behavior, so I would get asked a lot, knowing that staff knowing I'm trying to be on my best behavior. Do I want to go on these crews? So there was a lot of work crews where you would go and work on other people's farms, clearing out rocks or moving
or bucking hay or something like that.
Yeah, hay, or helping people move from houses and stuff. And there would be times where you would have these people, civilians, that are like, hey, I need you to help me out back. It's like, hey, you've been doing a good job in there. Do you maybe want to have some of this cigarette? You could just blame it on me if they say you smell. Just say it was me. And there was actually some civilians in town that gave me, 2 times this happened, cans of dip fully, like the chewing tobacco.
Yeah.
And I was sneaking back in.
Damn. That's crazy, dude. It sounds, but all the stuff you're describing, it sounds like a prison, dude. Like I would not think it's a boarding school that you're talking about, like sneaking stuff in, fabricating your own hallucinogens, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't sound like a Christian boarding school, like a fundamental independent. Like it just does not sound like that at all. Like I keep forgetting you're talking about a Christian boarding school. You know what I mean?
And you know what I find interesting? Before I went in there, I only smoked marijuana, and I came out, and then I was into a whole bunch of new things.
We both started testing out a lot of things.
So I went in there for the purpose of, well, not the purpose of, but the reason was because of marijuana. And then I came out,
wanting to experiment.
Because I had already did so much inside of.
You should write a book, From Marijuana to Orange Peels. Yeah, definitely.
Like James was saying earlier about the prison, being like prison, there was actually somewhere around my beginning to middle time being there. It was more towards my beginning time. There was actually a kid that came in from Florida. I still got him on Facebook today. After this, I was always made sure to be on his good side. There was one of the kids, like I mentioned, the boxing team. He thought he was hot shit. He's been there for years, and he was good with the staff members. He could do almost whatever he wanted. This one kid came in. He's I believe he was Muslim, or he was of the Indian descent. And this one kid thought he was hot shit, would constantly pick on him. He was his buddy. He would constantly pick on him, trying to break him down. This kid, he's from the real world environments, like from that part of Florida where things go down. He held himself together as long as he could. He was there about a month. This kid kept picking on him, kept messing with him. So this guy takes the fork. The kid takes the fork, stabs him 3-4 times in the mouth and the neck with the fork.
What?
Yeah. Middle of the dining hall, everybody around. This guy kept pushing him. Student kept pushing him to the limit.
Holy shit.
Staff was pushing him, being that he was this kid from Florida. He doesn't want to be nothing involved with the church side of things. So staff would want him pushed. And they purposely gave him this one guy that they knew would push him. And this kid pushed him so much till eventually. And we actually wound up losing forks for a couple months after that. We would only use plastic forks. Sporks.
What happened to that guy, dude?
Yeah.
Restrained.
Restrained.
Yeah.
Not him. The guy got stabbed by the fork.
Oh, he barely. The forks were dull in Agape, so it wasn't like serious. You would see he was dazed. The kid swears that nothing happened to him. The guy that got stabbed, like I said, he thought he was hot shit. So he was like, "Nah, did you see what I did to him when he started stabbing me?" In reality, this kid was beating the shit out of him, stabbing him with the fork, and it took a couple other guys to grab this kid. Before, like, they tossed this kid on a table and they had his arms like this, holding him against the table. And then eventually that kid, after he was getting held down, the guy he stabbed jumped on the table and started stomping on him before staff came, pulled this kid away and started restraining him, the one that was stabbing him.
Right.
The guy that got stabbed with the fork, they were very dull. So he had a couple little light bruises here, and he had like barely a puncture mark on the side of his neck. And
dang, so the other students were holding it. So the guy, he did the stabbing, right? So they kept pushing him, but then they were holding him on the table. Students
were holding his arms locked up on the table, and
then the other guy jumped up. The other guy jumps up and starts stomping on him.
And you know, all those guys were wailing on the kid until staff came, and the staff wound up restraining the same kid that just got wailed on. And it was a bad restraint. You can hear him screaming from the intake room to the dining. I would never forget his screams. I'll never forget the story, but his screams alone after this, like it was something you hear in horror movies.
A blood-curdling scream, yeah.
Yeah, like you knew they were giving it to him. It was so bad that he was in the intake room for 3 or 4 days. They didn't let him come out the intake room.
Wait, what? I've never heard of that.
They restrained him so bad for so many hours. I remember they said that they would stop restraining him, and he would start cursing them out or stuff after he would like finally gain himself back to composure.
Right.
You know, they're restraining you. That's taking a lot out of you, you know.
Yeah.
And this kid, as soon as he would finally get his composure and start realizing what's happening, he would start cursing out the staff again. They would restrain him again. So I heard they restrained him a couple times during this whole incident.
Wait, I want to make sure I heard you right. You said that he was in the restraint room, the padded room.
So they restrained him so bad. It was at least 3. It could have been more. And they left him in there. They would only bring him up for very few things, like the shower. They would bring him up to eat. Actually, for food, at first they were bringing food to him down there.
So they weren't even taking him into the dorms at all? He wasn't sleeping. He was sleeping in the padded room?
Not the first day or two. They had him in the padded palace.
What the hell?
They would leave him in the intake room. It was... You can tell by hearing these gruesome screams that he had. And everybody that I know that was there for this, they all know what I'm talking about. There was no hiding this. Talking about there was staff families that were there for this. This was the middle of a meal. So there were staff family members. So staff have their own intentions. Not only did this kid that all these staff members have this happen to him, but their families were there for this too.
Right.
And so they wanted it. They wanted this kid. But I'll tell you, after that, I stayed on that kid's good side. I'm still cool with him to this day.
Dang. Dude, that's a trip, though. Like, just, you hear about restraints for 2-3 hours at a time. Like, we thought that was crazy, Jason. Hearing about a kid being in that padded room, not even going to his own bed to sleep, only being let out to shower, food being brought in there, and just restraining him over and over again for days. Like, that just... It sounds like torture, man. That sounds like getting your balls grabbed by staff is not that bad at all anymore, man. Like
I think
that was like the highlight of the story, but now
I still think that's the highlight of the story. I still think. So the kid got stabbed in the neck. Okay, you grabbed it. You grabbed his balls. Oh shit!
Yeah,
that's the way I see it.
They really worked him after that with them restraints. Those were bad.
Jeez,
anyway.
That's a trip. So the guy wasn't conforming, all like it, and then after they got done with all that, I'm assuming he didn't go back to just Burgundy or something like that. His life was probably.
He was not in Burgundy. He was the kid that he stabbed. He was his buddy.
Oh, so he was still pretty new there.
Yeah, he was fresh in there, and that was the reason why, because it was his guide that was pushing him. So the staff purposely gave him to this guy that they know is going to push him and stuff like that.
But that going back to even your time when you first got there, like that, and that's what they do. They try to break you. They try to push you to see what kind of person you are, staff and student, to get you to break like that. And then something like that happens, it's like, and then you punish the kid for it. It's like you're sitting there, it's like that poking on someone, and then finally they yell at you, why are you poking me? And then you get restrained. It's like they're trying to piss you off. They're trying to get you agitated.
Yeah, there's just so much, and this is like some of the biggest stuff. There's so much stuff that I can't even remember.
Some of the old saying, the old saying is you fuck with the bull, you're gonna get the horns.
Yeah. When I finally got I had to get myself out of there too, because my mom didn't tell me when my court case was finally closed and everything. Probation was over. Like I was saying originally, at the time, my dad wasn't in the picture because parents split, all that stuff. Eventually, he worked himself into getting permission to do phone calls with me. And that was the most he was able to get, was letters and phone calls. He had to go to court to get permission to do phone calls and stuff. Agape didn't want him. And it was through my father I actually found out my cases were all closed because my mom refused to tell me. So I remember when he finally told me, I told him, I was like, give me a month, I'm getting kicked out. And
this is after we got kicked out.
Yeah, you guys were long gone.
So you knew that getting kicked out was not.
I knew it was an option at this time. So so there was this one kid. They used to have this thing, I can't remember what it was called, where it was in Kentucky or Kansas, I think Kentucky, where it was like some kind of like, almost like a summer camp for like a week.
Was it the football camp?
No, it wasn't football. It was like almost like a military basic training summer camp.
I haven't heard of that, no.
Yeah, it was like somewhere up in Kentucky. It was like a church guy that ran it or something like that. So
I've heard of that. I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, I went 2 times. The first time was really cool, real smooth, fun, whatever. The second time, I was there for a lot longer. I knew more people. And there was this one kid that used to always, at the time, everybody knew what happened. I got exposed for my probation and everything. So a lot of kids would pick on me, and they would like try to push me to do things, mentioning stuff that I've mentioned to other students, trying to push me, So there was this one little kid, Asian kid, and he tries to be friends with me to this day after like everything that happened. Yeah.
Knew it.
I was here.
I knew it.
So it's actually funny. A lot of the kids that try to pick on me in my early time there are kids that message me nowadays like, hey, I'm in trouble. Is there any way you can send me money? My car messed up. I'm having a lot of kids that picked on me back then hit me up since I've been out asking for help.
Right.
I find that insane.
Yeah, so it's funny how the roles are reversed, kind of like, it's like, I needed you back then, but now you need me, so.
Yeah, so this one kid, though, I didn't want to mention the name, but he really blurted it out. This kid tried to get the whole camp, like all of our students that were in that camp, we were all, at this place was the most freedom we ever got. No staff was watching us all the time. You had to be really trusted to be there. It was literally just summer camp. It was literally a summer camp. A Christian, they try to throw you through like a military summer camp. So all of us were hanging out in one of the cabins that we were in. And this kid we did this thing, I'm pretty sure James heard about this, blanket parties.
No,
I've heard of it. No. I've heard of them. Yeah.
That's because
so they would take the blanket, just a simple thing.
you throw it over them.
Watch out.
Put it over like that.
Take the blanket. You don't know what's happening. You can't see. All the guys just jump you.
Yeah.
So he tried to get all the guys to do it to me. He didn't know that a couple of the guys told me he was planning it. I'm friends with everybody. We're mutual friends with everybody, both of us. Obviously, they're more my friends than his. So they tell me what's going on. So I'm waiting for it to happen. Eventually, we all get to our cabin. Somebody hits the lights. The kid throws the blanket over me. All the other guys were standing in a circle, like around me. So I kind of figured, like, oh, it's that time. Kid throws the blanket over me, and all the kids standing in the circle backed up while this kid tried to act like he hit me. Barely felt like anything. And he's hitting me. I throw the blanket off. Before I even threw the blanket off, I'm hitting just right where he's at because I feel where he's hitting me. And he's like, I throw the blanket off. And he's like, calm down, dude. It's just a joke. It's just a joke. Calm down. He thought he was going to have everybody jump me.
Oh.
And there was only one time. There was one guy, and this was still when I was under probation. And me and him were actually friends. It was just we got into an argument, and he hit me in my back while going up a set of stairs because he wanted me to fight him. So, but I told him, like, dude, I'm not going to fight you. This is stupid what we're arguing over. I'm standing on top of the stairs. All I got to do is kick you. You can fall down. I don't want to hurt you, bro. So me and him are cool to this day. You know, we don't talk no more, but we cool. That was the only time I ever let anybody actually hit me and get away with it while I was there.
Okay.
How do you get kicked out? You said your goal is to get kicked out of there.
Yeah, so that was leading up. The summer camp thing was leading up to this. So that kid, he was one of the kids that used to make a lot of jokes, like try to push me a lot. He was this rich little Asian kid that was adopted. His parents would literally send him packages of toys and goodies every week. So he kind of was one of those dudes that kind of bought friendship. He would give out stuff to guys like, "Hey, I just got these. I don't need these. Ha ha ha." You know. Yeah. And so after I found out, my pops told me the phone call. Hey, you don't gotta worry. I told him, and my cousin was on the phone. She would call with him on speaker, and I was like, give me a couple weeks. I'm gonna get kicked out of here. It took me about a month. So the first one, I was like, this kid. He after that beating, he stopped talking trash for a little while. But I guess after things died down, not too many people knew about it because it happened at the summer camp. So when he got back after things died down, he tried to get back into that. And he didn't know I found out that my probation's over. And he was the first person. I went to one of the guys, two guys from one from Flint, one from Detroit. I'm still pretty cool with them. We don't really talk a lot, but I still got them. We, check up how they doing and stuff. I go to I'm talking to him, I'm like, yo, man, I'm gonna fuck this kid up, man. He's the one. Like, this kid really needs to get it. So they're like, yeah, let's go get him. I'm like, nah, man, I just want to fuck him up. Yeah, I was like, I just want to fuck this kid up. I want them to know it was me this time,
Right.
So we're in the shower bay, and both of them are there. I told them, I was like, yo, make sure nobody jumps in, and let me know if staff's coming. So that way I can let off. So that way I don't get restrained, serious or nothing. Let them know I'm in control. So they're watching whatever. And I just walk up to this kid. I'm like, yo, Gacious, remember that shit you were talking? He turns at me. He's like, what? What are you talking about? And he literally knocked unconscious in his thing. And I just kept hitting him. And he literally gained consciousness while I'm hitting him again. One of the other guys is hitting him over my shoulder. And some people would say that's a bitch move, whatever. But this kid's been talking shit for so long. Yeah. And I went up to him, straight up letting him know, yo, remember all that shit you was talking? So at that point, it's your fault that you don't realize what's happening. You're trying to pick on a guy. This guy was there before I was there. So we're talking 30-something months, 20-something months I was there that this kid's trying to push me. You should know kids coming up to you, oh, remember all that stuff you talking? You're about to get your ass whooped. Yeah. The other guy, he actually had one of his arms was fucked up. He got hurt in wrestling camp. So he basically had one broken arm. And he's over my shoulder, he's hitting the kid with one broken arm. One of the other kids comes, the other guy that was supposed to be watching for staff and stuff. He's like, man, fuck this. I don't like this kid anyway. Literally pushes me and the other guy off before staff come. Picks the guy up like a WWE move and just slams him on the floor. Oh man. This kid got the ass whooping of a lifetime. And staff came. They didn't know I was involved or the other guy was involved because all they saw was this kid just slam him in the middle of the shower. Yeah.
So your plan got screwed up totally. You're like, I wanted them to know it was me.
Yeah.
And they walk in and this guy's freaking slamming them. Damn it, we got to do it again.
Yeah. But so after that, they took that kid to get whatever medical he needed. It wasn't serious, he was just he didn't get no serious injury, just normal fight stuff. Yeah. That kid got in trouble. Me and the original one that was whooping him, whatever, we didn't get caught because no staff saw. So the kid that we whooped ass, after trying to make himself seem cool, he's not a snitch, he's this big tough kid, whatever, he actually wound up snitching to Julio, telling him the whole story. So Julio pulled me to the side. This is nighttime, we're all going to sleep, whatever. Julio comes, pulls me to the side before I fall asleep, whatever, and he's like, hey, so this was all you, right? I heard you're the one who started this. So he snitched. I still got in trouble for it. I had to sleep on the mat for the longest time. They would have a mat, a yoga mat that you would sleep on. And that was one of the punishments, by the way. You would sleep on this yoga mat that was smaller than a twin-size bed.
Yeah, those things are thin too.
So they were. So they basically kicked you out for that.
That wasn't the first time. Oh. That wasn't enough for them.
Well, we only got a few minutes, so go ahead and.
Yeah, this is the end of it. Yeah. So The second kid, I don't remember who it was. And the third one, I have a friend, Pratt. He actually moved to New York. He's from Texas, whatever. There was this kid that kept talking about his mom and stuff. And this kid was like, man, this kid's bothering me. He keeps talking about my mom. I think I'm going to go fight this kid. Can you just make sure that nobody really hits me or no staff member tackles me? So I'm like, yeah, sure, no, whatever. This kid's probably like 5'4", Pratt. And the kid that he's going to hit, some 6 foot tall kid. So he goes up to him, just starts hitting him. The kid runs. I'm in the middle of the shower bay. Kid runs like this right into me. And first thing I do is I knee him right in his face. He's like, why are you hitting me? Why are you hitting me? I'm like, talking about my friend's mom. Just start uppercutting him. And one of the staff members comes, and he's like, Doug. He would always call me Bobby. He would always call me by my first name. Douglas, why are you doing this? You're such a good guy. You're better than this. I'm like, Bobby, I used to call him Bobby B, the staff member. I was like, Bobby B, I'm calm, I'm good. So he's like, come on. Like, he just pulled me to the side, and I got in trouble.
Beating the shit out of this kid, and he's like telling you, like, hey, what do you do? Like, that's not a normal reaction from a staff member when there's like an altercation happening. Typically they're restraining or they're doing something, and he's just like, what are you doing? You're like, I'm good. He's like, okay. Like,
I was actually really good terms with him. He's actually the one that would take me on the newspaper crew, and he did. They called it a flag crew, where you go around, put American flags in certain places around town. Yeah. He would put me on that, so I was really good with him. He saw me. He's like, "This isn't like you." Like, I told him, like, as soon as I saw him I saw him in the mirror. I'm like, I'm good. You don't got to do nothing. And they threw me in Brown, and Julio at the time was running Brown. I told Pratt from the beginning, I was like, if I do this though, and I have your back, there's no coming back from me. I'm refusing everything from this point on. I'm getting out of here. So I get put in Brown, and Julio, I go to him. I'm like, look, respectfully, you can do whatever you got to do, but I'm not doing no workouts. I'm not doing nothing. I'm done with this place. You guys can't hold court over me. I don't have nothing. I'm done. Yeah. That's it for me. And I thought he was going to restrain me, but like I said, I'll give some of them credit where it's due. He just told me to get in self-restraint. And they called in the dean at the time, and they pulled me out, and they're like, Scott, the admitting Scott, took me into the room. He's like, look, this is all you talking about. Why are you doing this now? You talking about this, and that. Here's your options. We can send you to the Amish school, or we can send you to some other school that was like a intense work school. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, do whatever you got to do. I turned 18 in a couple months. I'm done with here. My court's over. You guys have nothing on me. And while he called my mom to make whatever arrangements, the former principal, current dean at that time was Leo, pulled me to the chapel. And me and Leo never liked me. So this is the first time he ever actually treated me like a human and sat me down and talked to me. He's like, so what's going on, kid? Da-da-da-da. I was like, look, man, I'm not doing good in school here. I'm not going to be here till I graduate. And if I was here until 18, I'm not going to graduate. And so he worked out a deal with Scott to give me basically finish what they considered a GED, which holds no grounds. I had to get a real certified New York GED after that. And basically they say, finish these basically 9th grade and some of 10th grade paces, and we'll give you this GED and you can go home. And they were like, that's the only option that I'm giving you. Right. Otherwise, transporters on the way, Scott already in contact with them, and you're out of here. Right. So I was like, that's going to get me home in a couple of weeks. I'll accept that. And from there, I did a couple paces I had to do. And when they took me out, it was actually during rodeo time we were setting up for. And they told me, hey, we got a painting crew. So he's like, I got the other guys already ready in the other room. Come with me. And the staff painter, took me downstairs. He's like, take all your stuff together. You're going home. So they told me I was going on a painting crew until I got downstairs.
Why do they do that? When they're releasing one person, they like try to do it really slick.
Yeah. I they never like making a big deal about it. I remember too, like when someone was leaving or whatever, like it was always like a hush hush thing. They'd sneak them out. They wouldn't show them to everybody. Like,
but anyway, guys, we gotta end the podcast. But thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you guys telling your story, man. That was
And I just want to say,
awesome.
I just want to say for James Cladence, I appreciate everything, and for you guys both, I appreciate everything. I know James Cladence is getting a real lot of backlash, but he is really one of the few staff members over there that he would actually sit down with us, and he would actually want to know what was going on in our lives and really try to talk to us.
Yeah.
So I know because of him speaking out, he's getting a lot of backlash from other churches that were affiliated with Agape, and he was a great guy. I saw in his interview that another church was trying to come at him, but he really was a great guy, and he really showed you what it meant to be a Christian while you were there, unlike a lot of the other staff members.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw that in there just for him.
Okay.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, it is. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Seriously.
James, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, always good.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, this was good, man. This is
this is great.
This is a riot. I'm gonna watch this again tomorrow or whenever it's posted.
It'll be posted by tomorrow, I'm sure.
All
right, guys. So hold on for a second. For everybody there who's watching this for the first time, once again, please subscribe to the channel. The channel is growing. Thanks to everybody, and the views are skyrocketing. It's amazing. So
awesome.
Thank everybody out there for that. If you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell. That way you can get notified. Sometimes YouTube doesn't really notify you if you just hit the subscribe button. So, all right. So for the Hammer Podcast, I'm Jason. You take care of yourself. You take care of each other. See you guys.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Take care.
All right.